ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking all about the future of Kabam and doing a little bit of speculation as to what Kabam is up to and working on at the moment, and maybe talking a little bit about the future of Marvel Contest of Champions. So it was announced a few months ago in an interview with the CEO of Kabam, Kevin Chow, that they are currently working on 7 unannounced games, and there's a figure of $100 million attached to these 7 unannounced games, with the average investment of about $14 million in each one. And this interview with Kevin Chow, which we're going to be talking a lot about because it gives you a lot of information as to kind of the inner workings of Kabam, his philosophy on mobile game design, and the kind of direction that he sees the market going. So to previously talk about some of the games that Kabam have done, if you have a look on the forums, you can see some of the titles there as well. There are a couple of others like Star Wars and I believe The Hobbit that have been shut down. I believe both of those games are no longer active. I know Star Wars for sure, but I'm not too sure about The Hobbit. However, one of the things becomes very apparent when you look at the other game titles and the games themselves in comparison to Marvel Contest of Champions, and that is really that a lot of the games that they did early on are 2D flat games. They weren't very interesting. They were kind of the same, the stuff that initially when mobile games came out, people ate up because they were new. But because so many of these games came out, so many clicker games, the market just got flooded and people lost interest. They were looking for higher quality games. They were looking for really, really decent stuff with, kind of console or PC quality graphics. And that's one of the things in the interview. And also one of the reasons why Kevin believes the Marvel Contest of Champions has been so successful, because they have built it up as a AAA game, a game that you can pick up and have 40 hours plus content to do every week if you want. And I'll totally agree with that. There's so much stuff to do in Marvel Contest of Champions, and each month they do continually add new stuff, new events, so there's always stuff to do. And then on top of that, you have endless grinding of Arena if you want to get involved with stuff like that, if you're really die hard. So that's something to kind of bear in mind, that Marvel Contest of Champions, in comparison to the other games that they've made, is just so far above the curve. And what I really like in this interview is that Kevin really acknowledges that the fact that Marvel Contest of Champions is so successful because they've invested so much time, so much money to make a really, really high quality game. And you may not like Kabam, or you may not like, their monetization model, and maybe think it's a bit overpriced. But one thing I think that you do have to accept is that a lot of people really enjoy Marvel Contest of Champions, because, myself included, because it is an amazingly designed game with a lot of depth. There is so much to do, there is so much to learn. Even kind of 8 months into the game, somebody plays on a daily basis, I'm still learning stuff. I'm still learning about quirky interactions, or about a cool thing that a new character does, or there are just so many different ways that different characters interact with each other, and the game just has an incredible amount of depth, and is something that a lot of people invest time into. And this is something that they go on to kind of explain, is that they are currently designing games very similar to Marvel Contest of Champions, where they are investing a lot of money, a lot of time to make sure that they're a game that you can pick up and is a really, really good quality game. Not like a Farmville game where you just go on for 5 minutes, plant your strawberries, and then you come back 4 hours later, because there are a lot of games on the market that do that at the moment. So in terms of, from a design perspective, a lot of the stuff that Kevin says is really refreshing. It's really, really nice. And if you do enjoy game development, if you do enjoy reading this stuff, I'd highly suggest checking out this article. But one of the things that really intrigues me is 7 games. That is a lot of games to do. Crazy amount. And we know what 2 of those games are. So in case you're a little bit out of the development loop, so sometime next year, they're going to be releasing a Transformers game. They acquired the rights to that. I think it was actually about this time last year, and kind of announced that it was going to be released sometime next year. I think it was toward the end of July. I'm pretty sure that was when this article was released. So that's recently been announced. But before that, they actually also acquired the rights to Avatar. So Avatar is going to be a game as well that's going to be behind the cusp of Kabam. And I'm really excited to see what they do with that. I think Avatar as a franchise it needs a little bit more work. I mean, it's nowhere near as recognizable as something like Marvel or Star Wars. I think it has potential. I mean, Disney are investing a lot in building, an Avatar-based land in, I believe, is it the Animal Kingdom in Florida? I think it's that place. So there's a lot going behind kind of the Avatar franchise, but these are two really, really big franchises, and I believe that seems to be Kabam's strategy, that they are, approaching and getting in conversation with really, big brands, big franchises, and saying, look, we have all this money, we have the development team, we have a successful track record of turning Marvel Contest of Champions into an amazingly profitable game. And they do quote that the game has already made, Marvel Contest of Champions has already made over 300 million in 18 months, which is crazy. It's very, very good by any mobile standard. But he also talks later in this interview, it is a very, very long article about kind of that only going up because they're, continually investing in the retention and acquisition of players, which is good. It's very, very comforting to know. And from a financial forecast, they've predicted that, if everything, goes to plan and no super bad hiccups come, that the game is going to make 1 billion over the span, over 1 billion over the span of its lifetime, which they are looking to be, 10, 20 years. And that's something that's quite comforting as a player, to know that the people working on your game, while you may not necessarily always agree with some of the decisions they make and deals they put up, that they are looking to build a game in the long term, and that's good. We just wish we could see that. One of the things that he does quote as well, is the marketing, because he's talking about like new games and budgets for marketing, and I found this quite interesting to read, because this is something that he talks about in this interview, but we don't really see in Marvel Contest of Champions, or at least, I don't really see. And this is about kind of the upfront cost versus the marketing cost. And one of the things that he's talking about is just how important the kind of reaching out to influence is. He says on the first day you launch your game, if you do marketing the right way, you reach out to influencers. So he very clearly understands that influencers are a huge part of, what makes people stay in a game. It's, creating influencers, content creators, people who run the fan sites, people who make the guides, people who are on the forums, being helpful, people who influence positive stuff in the community. He acknowledges that. But then in terms of Kabam's current strategy, they don't, they haven't reached out. They don't really work with YouTubers at all. They're looking into it in the future. And I certainly hope that they do get something down, because, I'd love to have like a decent working relationship with them. That'd be really cool. Kind of something independent like press, because I never want to get to the level where, I just can't criticize them, or that would ruin our relationship, because there are some points in the game and some points when they release offers where it's, I need to give my perspective on it, why it's a bad decision. And I never bash Kabam just for the sake of bashing Kabam. Whenever I, criticize Kabam, it is for a very good reason. It's because they've put up an offer that I believe to be ridiculously unfair, even to, the whales, the big spenders, or that they've made a change that I believe really negatively impacts the community. And sometimes I'm a little bit wrong about that. I can be wrong, but I can give my perspective on it, and that's the point. Opening a conversation about that is a very important part of doing that. So I think that's cool. And one of the things that I found very interesting is we're ready to lay down probably close to 10 million for the launch budget on a marketing side. Well, Kabam, if you want a influencer to do your new games and you got a budget like that, I'll take a little bit of that pie, I can make a few Let's Play videos, a few guides for you, maybe like 1 million each, that still gives you 8 million. That would be pretty good. But that's really, really interesting. And what else is there in this article that's pretty good? I really like the Kevin Chow's approach to just spending a lot of money making really, really good games, and also spending a lot of money marketing them. And I know that a lot of people in the community do kind of hate on Kabam, but Kevin Chow, man, you gotta appreciate him from a business perspective, dude. This guy, knows what he's talking about. At least from reading it, a lot of the stuff and the insight that he provides, I definitely agree with. I definitely agree with a lot of it. I believe that mobile gaming is the future of the handheld device, because, you know, I think like stuff like PS4, Nintendo DS, that stuff is dying out. It's all moving towards mobile, and they are building games and building their company for these extremely high quality AAA PS4 graphics games, and I think in the longer term that's really going to pay off. So yeah, just a little bit of speculation, guys. What do you think of the new games? One of the things that I'm really interested about, they got 7 unannounced titles and we know 2 of them. Well, at least I know 2 of them. What do you think the other 5 are? Do you know anything about the other 5, guys? Leave your speculation and inputs in the comments below. I actually really hope that they have somehow acquired the rights to DC, because as I think Kabam could do a really, really good job with a high production budget of making a really, really good DC game, and that's something that I'd like to see. I don't know if it's necessarily going to happen, but DC Legends, in my opinion, complete failure of a game. They're just absolutely milking what is basically a wasteland of actual content, and that's one of the good things about Marvel Contest of Champions, is the amount of content and the frequency of updates, and you certainly can't fault them on that. So ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed this video. We had a little bit of a random chat there about Kabam and their future, but guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like the video, guys, feel free to leave a like, that'd be greatly appreciated. Apart from that, guys, take care and have an absolutely fantastic day.